Good morning.
My name's Jeremy Hookway. Today I'd like to show you how to make a West Coast IPA with a distinctly German twist. Here's the stuff we need. First of all, some hops. We're using Citra, Simcoe, Cascade and Amarillo. Then some malt. Here we have Cara Red, Münchner malt, Otter Pale Ale malt and Pilsner malt. Yeast is a Mangrove Jack M44 West Coast Ale yeast and something to stir it with. You'll also need a brew bin. This one holds 25 litres and it has an airtight seal. This is a really useful piece of kit. It's a false bottom to go into your cooking pot. It stops everything burning and sticking, and it's definitely a really good idea. And last but not least, here's a really useful piece of kit for filtering afterwards. It's a Leuter Hexa or a Lauter Helix from Matt Mill. Really useful piece of kit. We'll see how it works later. Seal the bottom up. This has all been washed very clean. Looks like that. More about that later. Here you can see my brew assistant, Jörg. He's busy weighing out hops for use later. Here we're using 4 different sorts of hops, which are put in 3 portions. Here we have Citra, Simcoe, Amarillo and Cascade hops. Just like Jörg, you should weigh them up in advance and mark them so that you know which are to go in and when. That's all very serious stuff, but now it's time. Let's cook! We put 21 litres of water into our cooking pot and heat it to 55 degrees. Then we add the malt. Those are the 4 different sorts all together. And we start stirring. Looks a bit like porridge. You've got to stir a lot. It's good to have an assistant for that. And a thermometer. Heat till you get to 66 degrees and keep this temperature for 15 minutes. Then the temperature goes up to 77 degrees. Maintain this temperature for 1 hour and 10 minutes, stirring all the time. That's some serious stirring going on. The times and the temperatures are important here. If you ask a biology student, they'll explain it to you. Basically, the enzymes are doing the work for us, and they can only exist below certain temperatures. By adding a couple of drops of iodine to a sample of the brew, we can check that the starches have been fully converted into maltose. This colour means that they have. It's time to start the lautering process to separate the liquid from the solids. Remember the weird coil thing that we had earlier? That's in the bottom of the white tub here, and the brew, solids and all is being transferred into it. Be careful, it's hot. Then put the lid on the brew bin loosely and leave it undisturbed so that the contents can settle. About half an hour. Now we need to draw off some of the brewing liquid, that's the wort, and recirculate it. This creates a filter bed inside the white bucket. Initially it will be quite cloudy, And after you've transferred a few litres, then you'll notice that it starts to run clear. In the bottom right hand corner of the screen you can see the cooker, which has been cleaned and lined with a net cooking bag. When the liquid runs clear, it can all be transferred back into the cooker, into the cooking bag. There we are. See, it should be running through. Let's take the top off. I'm going to let that run through until we start to see the table cooking. It's pretty clear actually. Here, a large part of the wort has been transferred into the cooking pot and we can see the filtrate. Close the tap and add more hot water, here about 11 litres, to wash any remaining sugars from the filter cake. Keep some of this for making bread, tastes really good, or use it to make compost. Now you need your assistant. Get him or her to take the pieces apart and to wash everything completely, absolutely, totally clean. Then clean it again, and then sterilize it using a food safe cleaner like Oxy. You remember at the start I said there was a German style twist to this? Well, here it is. We took 2 litres of the wort out at this stage and put it in the fridge in sterilised bottles, important. We'll keep it for a while. When we bottle it, we'll need it again. If you want to find out more about this, you can Google Reinheitsgebot or German beer purity law. Basically, this limits the stuff you can put in beer to malt, hops, yeast and water. Adding extra sugar is frowned on, but you can use the natural sugars from the mash. Now it's time to turn the heat on and get those hops in. First hopping, these are Citra. Jörg, would you like to do the honours? Tip it in there. Hoppy day. Oh, happy day. That's now going to cook for 1 hour. After that, we'll add some more. And then we'll add some more again. Okay, in this case, we've got Citra with Simcoe, 16 grams and 13 grams. And then Citra and Amarillo and Cascade, 13, 9 and 8 grams. The different stages of hops get added at different times. After an hour, we add the next lot. And then after a further 15 minutes, we add the final hop. Then we boil it for another 10 minutes, and that's it with cooking. At this stage, you can measure the sugar concentration using a hydrometer or a refractometer, like this one. We're aiming for a sugar concentration of around 13 bricks. On our brew day, we had 17. This meant we had to add boiled water litre by litre until we came down to the 13 target. In total, we added just over 5 litres of water, bit by bit. Knowing the strength of the solution is important because it enables you to calculate the alcohol percentage afterwards. Transfer the brew one last time to the brew bin, which was so carefully cleaned and sanitized by your assistant. Seal it up and let it cool until tomorrow. Time to relax. You've earned it. The next day, when everything's cooled down to room temperature, 19 degrees in this case, it's time to add the yeast. Here it is. Open the top, sprinkle it in on the surface. There you can see the grains floating on the surface, and seal it back up again with some boiled water in the airlock. It's now 24 hours later, and the yeast is starting to ferment. Now our yeast is really getting down and dirty in that bin. There's a lot of CO2 being produced. You can see this is now 3 days into fermentation, and there's an active fermentation taking place. So yeast, have fun in there. The most we're going to do now is add a little boiled water from time to time to the bubble lock to keep the air out. Don't want you to have too much fun in there, yeast. While the yeast is partying away in the brew container, it's time for us to plan the next phase, which is bottling. That will be the subject of the next clip. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, don't hesitate to hit the like button. See you soon for bottling. Bye for now.